This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
The reader is extremely important for the writer because reading is a significant act in disclosing the generosity of the work, and the writer should understand for whom he writes because the reader is free in reading, and he is also responsible for the work and for the produced universe. From this perspective, in Why Write, Jean-Paul Sartre recognizes the importance of the reader's personality for the general act of writing, reading, and disclosing the world. Sartre notes that the one who writes recognizes the freedom of his readers. Thus, Sartre focuses on one of the most important questions for the writer to provide the context for the ideas of generosity, essentialism, freedom, and justice. This question is, for whom does one write? Concentrating on the role of the reader, Sartre receives the opportunity to discuss the complex process of writing as the act in which both the writer and reader are responsible for disclosing the aspects of the world. From this point, addressing the freedom of the reader, Sartre clearly states, both of us bear the responsibility for the universe as the world of writing. Thus, the reader is responsible for the universe while referring to the idea of generosity. Disclosing the world, both the writer and reader should be not only free but also generous. That is why, the reader and his freedom are the focus for the writer who often writes for the certain public. In this case, literature becomes not only the product of writing but also the product of relations between the writer and his audience because the written world can reveal itself only within the context of the reader's perception and vision. People need narratives in the form of fiction and repetition of many stories to understand their place in the world, find the solution to typical problems, and try effective scenarios. In this case, narratives as the stories representing the occurred events, and legends as the stories representing the classic scenarios are important to assist a person in coping with the concrete situation. In the work narrative, Hillis Miller states that narratives are important to stimulate the person's typical activities such as role-playing and daydreaming. Thus, make-believe is a fundamental human activity. Fiction as a type of literature stimulates people to make up situations and solutions to adapt to reality. To find a place in the world, a person chooses to imitate the actions presented in narratives. Miller explains this practice while stating that we need fiction to experiment with possible selves. From this point, narratives can be discussed as safe places which can also present the plan of action. Furthermore, legends and myths are more important in this context. People need the repetition of the same stories to add some sense to the world. Legends and myths can provide the formula that works in the real world. Even though plot elements cannot be identical every time, etiological myths are significant in providing information on mankind's origins as well as effective scenarios. Such myths as the myth about Oedipus are important for the person because they provide an effective explanation for the things that cannot be discussed logically. As a result, the person receives hints to solve issues which can be indicated as taboos or other controversial problems. Did you like this Sartre's Why Write and Miller's narrative sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the free database of academic paper examples at ivypanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs, without even having to register.